Hi and welcome. My name is Lisa Pulsinger. I'm Senior Technical Evangelist and Product Manager at dox42, and I have the honor to present you the dox42 Core version 5.0 today. I'm very excited because this is really a major release, a major update for us. You can see on the slide there are lots of new features there. Of course, you don't have to read them through. I'm here for that today. I'm going to guide you and I'm going to give you a live demo of the most important new features. Before we start, a little disclaimer. So at the moment, the dox42 version 5.0 is a preview version and should not be used in production yet. So if you do the testing, if you install the preview version, please let us know if you find any bugs or if you have any feedback for us. Send me an email to lisa.pulsinger@dox42.com. But now let's get started with an overview of all the new features. Let's start with technology and security updates. There we've upgraded to .NET Framework 4.8. Why 4.8? Because that has the best compatibility. Then we introduced a quite highly requested new feature, password protected data maps. So if you, for example, set up your data maps for your business users to design them, but you don't want them to touch the data sources, to touch the data map, then you can now add a password to protect it, so only you can adjust and open the data map. However, everything else, like the generation and the design, will still be possible for business users. Then we are also introducing a dox42 API authentication layer. This is a dox42 Online exclusive feature for now, but what this enables is that you can use other template storage options rather than SharePoint or develop. You will be able to manage your templates directly on dox42 Online, and that's particularly useful, for example, for SAP scenarios. And there's some more other security updates around that. Then, functional updates. We've added lots of new features for the add-in, the client, and also for the server. The add-in features, that will also be the main part of today. First of all, we completely modernized our UI. So it has a fresh look, it's much more modern, and next to new icons and new colors, we've also improved the dialogues to make them more user-friendly, to make them even more intuitive. And a feature a lot of developers have been asking for is a dark mode, and now we have a really extensive dark mode as well. I'm going to show that to you. Usability-wise, we've made, for example, improvements to the XML JSON data source, so now it's possible to send like post request bodies in a more detailed, in a more easy way. We've improved the visualizer, and it's now possible to find broken fields easier, so they are visually recognizable. Also, that will be shown to you. There's a new lookup modifier that helps with performance improvements whenever you want to do lookups. Then we have the add-in log-in added. So if you're familiar already with working with the dox42 server, there, if you do some troubleshooting, you can just go into your logs. That will now also be possible for the add-ins. And then password protected data map, as I've mentioned before, that's also a new feature. On the server side, we've improved logging. We have introduced an output action communication, so you can actually communicate one result of an output action to another one. There's also now a newly added custom modify action. So basically the output, you can modify it and then pass it on. You will now have the possibility to add multiple bearer tokens to your calls. And of course the dox42 API authentication layer. Lots of new features. I will be focusing on the add-in side today. And let's get started. So I'm opening a template, and if you have worked with dox42 before, if you have worked with templates before, then the first thing I would do, so here is the add-in with our newly updated icons. The first thing I would do is I would click on refresh template, and then dox42 renders through the template. And if we go down, you can see that the icons, the data fields, they are actually replaced then with the new design, with the new data fields. So here that, for example, and if I click on one, the functionality stays the same. So clicking on it opens the data field explorer, and I can see, for example, that's the field name coming from the organization's data source. Or if I want to add another field, I just double click and that's added. It's all new. It's just all the same. It's just a new design. Quite a nice one, which I think. Good. And then if we look at our buttons up here, so they've gotten a brush up, and a really nice brush up, for example, has been added to the tutorials menu. So in the older versions, when you opened the dox42 add-in, then you had a pop-up with all the tutorials. Now it's actually embedded on the side. So hey, and welcome to the dox42 add-in. And here you can very easily navigate to the tutorials, to the documentation, and to your sample templates. Let's, for example, go to the templates, and let's say we want to have a look at the employee contract, and can download that wherever I want. I say I'm going to download it here, and then it opens up automatically. You have the template here. This has been designed with an older version. So for you to see, if I go on refresh template, dox42 actually replaces the fields with the new design. So quite handy, the new dox42 tutorials menu. And you can just open and close it anytime. Also the documentations are really very easily findable from here as well. Another thing which we've added was for the Entra ID Log-In. So the Entra ID used to be the Azure ID Log-In. It's the same functionality, just Microsoft changed the name. And so this is where you need to provide information in case you are working with SharePoint Online and you want to open your templates directly from SharePoint Online. So you need to provide your SharePoint site URL, your tenant ID, app ID, and mobile redirect URLs. And now, and all the SharePoint sites where you manage your templates on need to be added here. And now what we've added is an import list and an export list. So for example, if you are the admin, if you set up the Azure AD login for all your other dox42 users, you can simply export the list. And once you've done that, so let's say that I'm gonna export it here, AD config saved. And now, for example, I'm gonna delete this site, and I'm gonna delete this one and that one. But then I want to still have them back. So now I can go to import list. Yes, I want to overwrite the existing one, and I can add my AD config, and I have all my things added here again. Also, do not forget to add your tenant ID here. I've just forgotten to add it. Good. That's that. And now let's have a look at the data map. So also the data map has gotten a brush up, so you can see all the new colors and icons. And first of all, it has 3 tabs now. It has the file tab, just as you're used to with all the functionalities. It has the data sources tab, also that should be familiar to you if you've worked with dox42 in the past. And now new, there's a help and settings tab. So you can do quite a few things here. The first thing I want to show you is the enable logging. So if you want to do some troubleshooting from your add-ins, you can enable the a location where you want to log your log files, and then you can say, for example, on the desktop, this is where I want to write my logs, and whenever something goes wrong, whenever there's a trouble with the generation, dox42 will write a log file in that location. It's gonna log, and if you go on show logs, once you have logs, it will actually show you the location with all the log files, so you can easily navigate to them. I don't have one at the moment because I've just enabled it, but dox42 will always navigate to that log file location, which is really good. Another thing here is to remember window size, so you can decide whether you want to have this small or big, for example, or also like small menu items. If you say remember window size, then dox42 will always display the windows however you've pushed them apart. And then another very cool thing is the labels, but I will get there in a second. Going back to the data sources, let's open, for example, the organizations, and I'm going to rename that to organizations 1. And now dox42, so we have some fields added from our organizations data source already, but we've renamed it, and dox42 is always looking for the data source name and then the data field. However, if you rename the data source, then dox42 can't find it anymore. So what you do then, if you do some renaming or if something goes wrong, if you click on refresh template, dox42 shows you which fields are affected. So the red ones, they are the broken fields, and you should really replace them. If you double click on them, you can't find them. But if I go, for example, to organization 1, organizations 1, oops, I think I've misspelled it, organizations 1. And if I insert, for example, here the account ID, this is going to be blue, but these are the ones that are not shown. If I go back now to my data map, and if I rename it back, or of course you could have replaced the data fields, that would have also been possible, but I'm refreshing the template again, and now you see that's fine. Just here the account one is not fine because that was the one from the broken field. I'm gonna remove it again. So it's really easily visible now to change your to find broken fields. Going back to the data map, one of my new favorite additions is the visualizer. So the visualizer has existed for quite a few years, but now we've substantially improved it. So if I open the visualizer for data source, I have lots of options I can do. So first of all, I can decide the field color, and I can really now add any color I want to the data fields that are displayed in the dox42 template. Let's say we want to make that purple. And what else I can do here on the first side, I can set a parent element, and the parent element, this is really for how this data source will be shown in the data field explorer. If I have a parent element, for example, the sales quote, then my organization's data source will be shown one level below. So this is just for you to see. Here I can set if I even want to show this data source in the data field explorer or not. This can be handy for connection files because you don't want to show them in the data field explorer. Then here you can set a custom icon. That was possible before as well. Let's choose the smiley. And now here you can choose the labels. So first of all, you can decide that certain fields should not be shown at all in the data field explorer, so you can't insert them. For example, the account ID, I don't want to show them. But here the address 1 city, it shouldn't be shown as address 1 city. I want to show it as city. And this one I want to show as country when I insert it, so that it's even easier for template designers to work with the data fields. This is handy, for example, if you work with data fields coming from CRM or from SAP, where the predefined values maybe are not the most user-friendly ones. And in the preview, you can see how it will look like in the data field explorer. And yeah, Good, we have that here. Let's close that. I'm gonna disable the labels for a second now, and I'm gonna go to insert data field. I can see now in my organizations, I here have my smiley, but I still have my address 1 city and my address 1 country, because we've disabled the labels. But if I go here, whoops, and I'm gonna enable the labels now, I can see now city and countries here. So you can enable and disable that from here. And now if I, for example, let's first refresh the template. And now of course this is refreshed, so we can see here the field name that is now in purple, and here we actually have city and not address 1 city anymore, and here we have country instead of country 1 city. If I go here and if I disable the labels, for example, and if I refresh the templates, then here it will be shown as address 1 city and country again. So you can easily switch it on or off in whatever form you want that. So that's a quite cool new feature. Then I would like to show you the dark mode. So if I go to my, first have to find it where it is, to my account, and if I say my office theme is actually black, and I'm going to, just for Word to refresh everything, I'm going to close Word and I'm going to open it again. And now we see the dox42 dark mode. So upon inserting the data field, everything is in dark mode. You can work with that. You can see your data fields here, and also in the data map, all the dialogues I have adjusted to the dark mode, which is quite a cool new feature if you're used to working with the dark mode. And then I'm going to show you another feature, and that's the lookup functionality, and I'll explain it to you with a different template. So now we are in our example for the lookup, and let's imagine you have two tables. One table is the sales line table, you have the currency code, you have the country and the price for a certain product in the native currency, and then you have the currency table with the currency code again and the exchange rate and the country. And now you want to look up the price for the exchange rate in a certain country. And now how to do that with our lookup functionality is in dox42. If you go to the data map, you see you have the sales lines and the currency data sources. And first of all, you will need to filter for the currency, because we want to look up the exchange rate, and here we want to filter for the exchange rate for a certain country. So you filter for the country in that scenario. And then in the sales lines, you actually add the new lookup modifier. And here you say, okay, name, it should be, we want a new field, which is the lookup exchange rate. Look up in my currency data source, return the field exchange rate, which is numeric, where in my sales lines data source, the code equals the code in the currency data source. So we're looking for the exchange rate where the code equals from one data source to another. So this has been possible before, setting up in a bit more complex way, but doing it like this with the new lookup modificator, it actually doesn't load the exchange rate all the time. It loads it once and it leads to a substantial performance improvement. And if you click on generate, let's do that here as well. So you can see we've also refreshed that window here. You get the correct exchange rates for your currencies. Good. And that was the overview of the dox42 core version 5.0. We hope that you enjoy it. We hope that you're happy with the new features. Please do some testing. Please let us know. And once again, this is still a preview version, so if you find any bugs or have any feedback to us, please send a message to lisa.pulsinger@dox42.com. Have fun testing and see you next time.